That winter, Khai left Hanoi and went to Lao Cai for a research project on how climate change affects highland farming. He was a final-year graduate student, quiet, reserved, and fond of traveling alone. Khai chose to go just before Tet, when people were leaving the city, and the mountains curled up in layers of mist like fabric dust. The last bus dropped him off at a small town called Phin Sang, about 40 kilometers from the center of Sa Pa. From there, Khai planned to walk another 10 kilometers to Phin Chu village, where only a few scattered households lived. It was already late afternoon. The owner of the only guest house in Phin Sang sat behind the counter, eyes glued to a black and white TV replaying an old program. Seeing Khai approach with a backpack, he looked up and rasped, "You came down from the city? Looking for directions?" Khai smiled politely. "Yes, I'm working on a climate research project. I'd like to find the way to Phin Chu village. Has anyone here been there before?" "Sir?" The guest house owner paused, frowned. "Phin Chu? People used to go there, but now, no one goes in anymore." Khai was surprised. "Why's that, sir?" "The road into that village, it's blocked. No one really says why. Some say landslide, others say ghosts." He emphasized the word, ghosts, casually, like it was an everyday thing. Khai didn't react. He simply tilted his head. "I'm just here to survey the climate. Not afraid of those things. I just need directions." The guest house owner looked at him for a moment, then said, "Tomorrow morning, if you still want to go, head behind the market. There's a dirt path. Walk about 5 kilometers. You'll see an old suspension bridge. Cross it, turn left, that's the way in." Khai nodded, smiling. "Thank you, sir. Can I stay here tonight?" "Second floor. End of the hall. Hot water's available. But," he paused, "remember to lock the window tonight. The wind here is fierce." That night, Khai didn't lock the window. He lay on the bed, back against a pillow, eyes watching the yellow light flicker across the wooden ceiling. Outside, the wind howled against the tin roof like someone gritting their teeth in the dark. Around 1 a.m., the window rattled lightly, like something was scratching it. Khai turned his head, saw the thin curtain gently swaying. He wasn't afraid. He simply whispered to himself, "If someone was here before me, I'm just staying briefly and will leave soon." The wind stopped, and in the silence, Khai felt like someone was sitting at the foot of the bed. Not looking, just quietly keeping him company on his first night in the highlands. The next morning, Khai left the guest house early. He walked along the dirt path behind the market, just like the owner said. The early mountain wind was icy cold. The sky hadn't fully cleared. Fog lay like a thin blanket across every path. After about 5 kilometers, he saw the suspension bridge, made of old iron and wooden planks. Below was a wide stream with rushing water. Across the bridge, the dirt road was muddy, slightly sloping, no signposts, no tire tracks, no one had passed. Khai stepped onto the bridge, gripping the cable tightly. Every step made the bridge sway slightly, creaking like the sighs of those who walked before him. Across the bridge, Khai turned left. The path began to narrow. On both sides were wild trees, tall and dense. No bird sounds, no human traces. Only a small stone marker remained, with faded carvings that read, "Nameless path, if you enter, please don't call." The wind brushed against Khai's neck. He stopped, read the inscription again, then continued walking. The dirt trail beyond the stone marker grew even narrower. The path rose, then suddenly dipped, winding like a snake through the forest. Each step Khai took sank into the wet ground, leaving clear prints on the reddish-brown mud. Clouds began to appear, not above, but right beneath his feet. A dense layer of cloud drifted along the ground, as if the whole mountain was breathing something alive from deep below. Khai paused to drink water. He leaned against a tree, pulled out his phone to check the map, but no signal. The screen displayed cold, stark words, "No service." He tried turning on GPS, only to see the blue dot spinning aimlessly. Khai muttered, "Too deep in, must have lost signal." Just as he was about to put the phone away, he noticed a faint handprint on the back of the phone. Clear, a small hand, like a child's, cold and wet, had left it there without Khai noticing. He wiped it quickly, but the sticky sensation lingered on his fingertips. Khai stood up, slung his backpack over his shoulder, and moved on. By noon, the forest opened into a small clearing, a gently sloping plot of land marked by an old stone fence. Like a boundary line, beyond the stone fence, was the village. Khai froze. No one had mentioned the village sat right on the forest's edge. On the map, this area was simply marked as unsurveyed region. The village appeared faintly through the mist. Houses made of old wood, thatched roofs, bamboo posts, no one in sight, no sounds of chickens, no barking dogs. Everything was silent, like frozen in some long-lost moment in time. Khai stepped past the stone fence. The moment his foot touched the village edge, a faint bell rang in the distance. Ting, ting? He turned. No bell, no hanging rope, no wind, yet the sound persisted, echoing as if from the earth itself. Entering the village, Khai started taking photos, jotting down notes on the terrain and climate, trying to stay focused on his work to avoid overthinking. He passed a small house with its door slightly ajar. Inside was dim, no sounds, but there was smoke. Cooking smoke, fresh smoke. He stepped closer, knocked on the door. Hello? Is anyone home? No reply. Khai knocked again, softer. I'm a student. I just want to ask for directions. I won't bother you. Still silence. But just as he was about to walk away, a hoarse voice called out from inside. No one asks for directions here anymore. Khai turned back, asked gently. What did you say, sir? Footsteps echoed slowly from within. Then an elderly man appeared in the doorway. Cloudy eyes, white hair, hunched back, his frame brittle like a dried-up tree. He looked at Khai, smiled faintly. Which number are you, I wonder? Coming here without knowing the way back. Khai hesitated. I'm just here to survey. I'll leave the village tomorrow. The old man said nothing, only nodded, then turned and walked back inside, letting the door slam shut behind him. Bang! Khai shivered. He stood still for a few seconds, then backed away, continuing deeper into the village. At the end of the path, Khai found an old stone well. Its rim had a worn rope pulley, dangling down into black water. Around it were muddy footprints, fresh, small, like those of barefoot children. He sat on the well's edge, drank water, opened his notebook to write. But as he flipped to the first page, there was a strange line, one he hadn't written. If you go down the well, I'll show you the way. Khai held his breath. He flipped back. The cover clearly had his name, in his own handwriting. No one else had touched it. He stood up, looked down into the well. The water began to ripple. Its surface first reflected the dull sky, then morphed into the image of a woman in ethnic dress. Standing behind him, without a face. Khai spun around. No one there. But in the air, the smell of decaying leaves began to grow stronger, mingling with the chill and a damp hair scent, like someone had just risen from the river. He stepped back. At that moment, from the far end of the village, a little girl in an ethnic dress, hair tied in two buns, stood hiding behind a wooden post. She didn't say anything, just looked at Khai, then turned and darted into the forest. He called after her. Hey, wait, where are you? No answer. Only the wind brushing past his ears, carrying a faint echo. There's no name for this path. Brother. Khai chased in the direction the girl disappeared. The forest ahead was no longer the one he walked through that morning. It was denser, gloomier, like it had shed its skin. Trees grew tight together, trunks pitch black, twisted branches whispering secrets in rustling leaves. Each step Khai took sank into a thick bed of mulch, making squelching sounds like stepping on rotting skin underground. He looked around, trying to follow the child's small footprints, but everything blurred into the fog. The wind stopped. No birds, no rustling, not even the sound of his heartbeat. Only a woman's voice, soft as breath, whispered by his ear. Did you go down the well? Khai startled, spun around. No one, but he realized he was standing in the center of a circular ring of stones, identical to the boundary marker when he entered the village, except here, the stones were covered in moss, some broken as if someone once tried to escape. Khai stood still, breathing slow. Then as he stepped back, a small hand suddenly touched his back. Brother. Khai turned around. It was the little girl from before, standing right beside his shoulder, eyes wide open, but in those eyes, there was no soul. She smiled, held out her hand, and whispered, "Don't go anymore. No one gets back." Khai swallowed hard, trying to keep his voice calm. "Are you from the village?" She nodded, her messy hair falling across her cheek. "I've been here a long time, so long I forgot my parents' voices. Why don't you return to the village?" "Because there's no one left." Her voice was as soft as grass brushing against grass. "Only the old man remains, but he remembers no one." Khai thought of the old man earlier, cloudy eyes, hoarse voice, repeating the same line as if for decades. "Which number are you now?" he gently asked. "What happened in the village?" The child looked up, vacant gaze. "Everyone left, because the well opened, and people dropped their words into it." Khai froze. "Words?" "Yeah, each person. One word." Then the well remembered. It rose. It went to every house. The girl lifted her finger to her lips, gesturing silence. "Don't tell this story. If you do, your words will become real." That sentence slithered down his spine like a cold wind. Khai lowered his voice. "What's your name?" "Leah, but no one calls me that anymore." She took his hand, leading him toward the edge of the forest. "I'll take you to the last house, where someone still lives." It was a small stilt house, right at the forest edge, far from the old village. The door was shut, bamboo walls bound with dry forest vines. Leah stood outside, pointing. "Go in, she knows the story." Khai climbed the wooden steps. The door creaked open, dim inside, the scent of hearth smoke mixed with burning dry leaves. An elderly Hmong woman, silver hair twisted in a large bun, sat weaving a basket. She didn't look up, only spoke slowly in the Kin language. "You took the wrong path, child." Khai respectfully bowed. "I'm sorry, I only came to study the climate. I didn't know this was a forbidden zone." The old woman gave a faint laugh. "No one forbids it, but no one dares to remember. I met a little girl, her name's Leah. She said no one's left in the village." This time, the woman looked up. Her eyes seemed pulled straight from a fire, cold, deep, and weary. She gently shook her head. "There's no girl named Leah anymore." Khai was stunned. "But, I just spoke with her. She brought me here." The woman pressed her lips together, then slowly said, "Leah was the last one. She didn't leave, she stayed, to guard the well." "Guard the well?" "Yes, because if anyone speaks again, the well will remember. It'll crawl out like before." She pressed her hands to rise, slowly stepping toward the door. She opened the bamboo curtain. The sky had turned dark. Black clouds gathered over the village roof. No thunder, but the wind began to reverse. She turned to Khai. "Go, before it remembers someone new." Khai hesitated. "I don't know the way back." She looked him in the eye. "Then don't go alone. Ask her. She'll guide you." Khai turned. Leah was gone. Only a small shadow imprinted on the wooden door. Still standing there, head tilted, hands dropped, eyes staring. Khai stood still a long moment before the shadow on the wooden door. It didn't shift, didn't fade, as if someone had stood there for so long, their shadow had seeped into the walls, soaked into every grain, impossible to wash away. He turned to the old woman and quietly asked, "Ma'am, was Leah real?" She didn't answer immediately. Her hand flipped slowly through a small book made of dew paper. Likely a prayer scroll, tied with dried orchid vine. Some people are real, some become memory, and memories cling tighter than people. Khai shivered. He sat by the hearth, trying to calm down, eyes fixed on the bright firewood. The smoke was fragrant but stung his eyes. The woman slid a small cup of hot water toward him, smiling softly. "Drink. The cold here seeps deep into the bones." Khai took it, raised the cup in both hands, but suddenly saw a red ink smudge on the rim, bleeding out in a curve like handwriting. He tilted the cup and read 3 words. "Don't speak anymore." He froze, silent. Night fell. The woman gathered the ashes, speaking slowly. "Stay the night. I'll show you another way tomorrow. You can't take the old road anymore." Khai nodded. He took out his phone, still no signal. The screen flickered a few times, then went black. The old woman pointed toward the small loft above. "Sleep there. And remember, keep your mouth shut." Khai slowly climbed up. The floor creaked underfoot. The loft was made of pine boards, with a small window overlooking the hillside. From there, he saw the entire village below drowned in mist. No lights, no hearth smoke, just a silent mass of darkness. Unmoving, he sat down, took out his notebook, but as he flipped a page, strange writing appeared again. "The well will hear if you tell." New words, not Khai's. He pulled out a pen, intending to cross it out, but the pen snapped in half. No force, no pressure, just touched the paper. From somewhere beneath the loft, footsteps echoed, not fast, not quiet, but steady, as if someone circled the house, seeking a way in without using the door. Khai stood silently, pressing against the wall, ears alert. Creak. The old door below groaned open. He was about to step down when he heard the old woman's voice. "Who's there?" No reply, only a faint laugh, mingled with the wind. "Not everyone who opens a door is human. Granny." A chill raced down Kai's spine. He rushed down the stairs. Downstairs, the old woman stood at the hearth, holding a bundle of dry leaves, the red firelight flickering shadows along the walls. She looked at Khai, her gaze stern. "Did you say anything?" Khai shook his head. "No, ma'am, I didn't tell anything. I just wrote in my notebook." She tossed the leaves into the fire. Flames shot up high. The well doesn't need ears. It reads hands, letters, even thoughts. He stood frozen. "So, whatever I wrote, it knows?" She nodded gently, her cloudy eyes fixed on him. "You are the seventh. 6 came before, they told, and now. They live in the village." "Where?" "In the shadows, in the ground, in the well, none the same, but all shared one thing. They once spoke what shouldn't be said." That night, Khai didn't sleep. He sat by the window, eyes wide open. From the fog, he saw a small flame flicker in the village, moving bit by bit, like someone carrying a lantern around. The flame stopped at each house, paused for a beat, then moved on. At the last house, the flame extinguished. The wind surged, and from beneath the earth, a long breath rose. No clear form, no sound of life, just that something had awakened. Khai whispered to himself, barely audible, "I haven't told, but I'm already living in a story. Aren't I?" Behind him, a breeze drifted in, a tiny voice, like a child giggling behind his neck. "Then don't stop." The next morning, Khai woke up because of a strange smell. It wasn't hearth smoke, nor musty dampness, but a sharp, tingling scent, pungent and earthy, like half-burnt roots. A breeze blew gently through the cracks in the door, carrying the moisture of early morning dew and that strange smoky scent. Swirling through the air, he went downstairs. The kitchen was empty. The old woman was gone. The door was ajar, and the bamboo curtain in front of the house flapped like a hand waving to someone. Khai called out loudly, "Grandma, where did you go?" No response. Only a dried orchid vine tied to the doorstep, dangling a small dark brown cloth pouch. On the outside, a red thread was embroidered into a strange twisted symbol, like ancient script. Khai picked it up. It was light. Inside was something that felt like crumbled roots. Along with it, an old piece of paper, handwritten by the old woman in a slanted script. "Take it with you. If no one shows you the way, the wormwood will remember the path. But don't open it." He slipped the wormwood pouch into his backpack and sighed. Then he turned back, closed the house door, glanced one last time at the cold, empty kitchen, and stepped down the slope, back to the village road. The village looked the same as the day before, silent. No people, no roosters crowing, no hearth smoke. But today, something was different. Khai felt it clearly. The roadside trees drooped more. The house walls had rotted away. Thatched roofs had collapsed, as if time in the village had passed through a night lasting decades. And the earth, it smelled like wormwood. He knelt down, picked up a handful of dirt near the village gate. The soil was damp, but mixed with tiny white roots, tangled like children's hair. Khai shivered. He continued walking. At the head of the village, he reached the old stone well again. The water today wasn't still like before. Its surface rippled gently, bubbling, like breathing, and hanging on the rim of the well was a pair of soaking wet children's sandals. Khai froze. They were Leah's sandals. No need to touch them, he knew, they were still warm. A tiny voice spoke behind him. "Did you open the well?" Khai turned around. No one, but the shadow of the child appeared clearly on the well's stone rim, small, short, arms limp at her sides, head tilted, eyes empty, staring into the water. He stepped back, reached into his backpack and pulled out the wormwood pouch. Just then, the ground beneath him sank slightly, as if the layer holding it up had given way. Khai almost fell. He dropped to one knee, hand landing on a small bush by the well. It was red wormwood. Wormwood doesn't grow naturally in this area. Someone had to plant it, nurture it, feed it something. The wormwood leaves were vividly red, with serrated edges, and its base showed cuts where sap had been extracted. Khai murmured, "Does wormwood feed on memory, or on people?" He stuffed the pouch back into his backpack, turned away from the well. But as he turned, he saw that the doors of every house in the village had opened. No sound, no footsteps, but clearly, someone had opened every door from inside. Khai sprinted through the village, past the stone fence, heading toward the forest road. The farther he ran, the thicker the fog became. The wind began to whisper through his ears. The sun was completely hidden. It felt like the forest was shrinking inward. After a while, he spotted a new turn, a narrow dirt path, with tall trees growing on both sides, as if the path had just been revealed. Khai hesitated. Then the old woman's words echoed in his mind. "If no one shows the way, the wormwood will remember." He opened his backpack, took out the pouch. It grew warm in his hands, lightly vibrated, and at that moment, a figure in indigo appeared faintly at the turn. Leah, her hair loose, jet black eyes, staring silently at Khai. Then she turned and began to run. Without thinking, Khai chased after her. The trail led him through the forest. Trees swayed on both sides. The ground sank beneath his feet. Wind slapped his face like cold hands striking again and again. Leah led the way, barefoot on the earth, silent, but leaving clear footprints on a bed of young wormwood. After about 10 minutes of running, Khai saw light ahead, and as he stepped forward, before him was a path descending the hill, and at the end stood an old stone pillar, a boundary marker. Just like the one he first encountered when he arrived. But strangely, this one had an inscription. 7th, Khai. He froze. Leah turned back, standing at the pillar's edge, whispering, "Anyone whose name is written will stay." He panicked. "No, I didn't carve anything." Leah smiled, pointing at the notebook in Khai's hand. "Then, who wrote it?" Khai looked down. On the last page, he didn't know since when, his name was already there. Written in red ink, trembling strokes, as if Khai himself had written it. At some moment he couldn't recall. A gust of wind roared up from the hillside, carrying dust and a scorched wormwood smell. Khai stood frozen, eyes locked on the page that bore his name in a hand that wasn't his, but clearly held by his own. He backed away. "I didn't write this." Leah tilted her head, voice calm like telling a bedtime story. "It wasn't written by hand, but by memory. If you think of something, the well will record it, and wormwood will grow from it." "I don't understand. I never." Leah cut in, lips trembling. "You spoke of my village. Even just in your mind. That's enough." Her words landed in Khai's chest like a boulder. He remembered his journal entries, his monologues while walking alone in the woods. Everything had become words. And the well had heard. He clenched the notebook, hands shaking. "I only wanted to research. I didn't come here to violate anything." Leah stepped closer, her gaze fading. "No one comes here by chance. Everyone brings in spoken words. The village is just an excuse. The well is what holds them all." Khai backed away, but behind him was the stone pillar bearing his name. A creaking sound came from the direction of the village, as if someone had opened a gate. Or a bamboo post cracked under the wind. He looked back. The village was waking up. Faint hearthlights flickered in each house. Pots clinked on stones. Slippers shuffled. Someone washed their hands by the well. All the sounds of a village that had died. He gritted through clenched teeth. "No, this isn't real." Leah grabbed his hand. "Just step past the pillar. You'll live here forever. No fatigue, no hunger, no need for anyone, just silence." Khai looked down at her hand. The nails were black. Fingertips cracked like bark. Her skin wasn't human anymore. It was something that once was, now only a shadow. He yanked his hand away. "I don't belong here." He turned and ran back toward the forest. The wind howled. Trees snapped like something was blocking the path. Each step he took, roots rose up to clutch his ankles. Branches clawed his face, tearing like talons. But Khai didn't stop. He remembered the old woman's words, "Don't open the wormwood pouch." Now, it was the only thing he had left, and he understood, there was only one way to escape. He pulled out the cloth pouch. Gripping it tightly, he reached the ancient tree at the forest's crossroads. There, he tore open the wormwood pouch. Fragments of roots flew out, carried by the wind, but instead of vanishing, They fell to the ground and took root instantly. From the earth, the plants began to grow upward. Each wormwood sprout twisted like a living creature, entangling with each other, forming a protective circle. Khai stood within it. The wind shrieked. And from afar, Leah appeared, but no longer childlike. Her eyes pitch black, mouth stretched to her cheeks, hair dragging across the ground. With every step, the earth cracked, and the smell of mud and wet hair rose. She screamed, "You promised. You wrote your name. You're the seventh." Khai shouted back, "I never promised. I never told. I'm still alive." He pulled out his notebook, tore out each page, and threw them into a small flame lit by his travel lighter. The fire caught, burning the words. Each piece of memory recorded about the village dissolved in smoke. He cried out one final time, "I didn't bring anyone. I won't let the village come back." Leah stomped the ground, and from beneath it rose dozens of small pale hands, twitching, grasping, like children just swallowed by the well. Cries echoed across the forest. "Don't leave, brother. Stay with me. I'm cold. I'm hungry. I never got to grow up." Khai clenched his teeth, burned the last page with his name. The fire turned blue, flaring with a sharp pop like a balloon bursting. At that moment, everything fell silent. No wind, no fog, no wormwood scent, only the forest collapsing into stillness. When Khai opened his eyes, he was lying beside the dirt path behind Fin Sang Market. The sky was dim. The smell of wet earth and morning hearth smoke was familiar. An ethnic man sat by a roadside fire. And when he saw Khai sit up, he said softly, "You've been sleeping here since yesterday." Khai was confused. I went into the village, the nameless one, with the well, the little girl." The man shook his head. "There's no village like that here. From here into the forest is just an abandoned quarry. Anyone who takes the wrong path gets lost for a whole day." Khai went quiet. He looked down at his hand, still stained with faded red ink. His backpack was still beside him, but the notebook was gone. He sat there dazed, then slowly stood and walked back toward the town. Behind him, in the gentle breeze, a small bell rang again. Ting, ting.